Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fanfiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
When Naruto arrived at the site of where the second test for the Chunin exams was being held, Naruto looked around and noticed that he was one of the first few waiting around. During this time that Naruto had to himself, he spent one last time reading over the book that he had picked up the previous day about wind manipulation. He read that you were able to channel the chakra through all shinobi weapons, though the general kunai and shuriken made you get much less bang for your chakra as they were not made out of the tougher metals. Using his time before the exam, Naruto gave himself a crash course in channeling his element through the kunai before the exam started. Eventually, after 10 minutes of waiting, everyone came, so it was now time for Anko Madarashi to start the second round of the Chunin exams. Now, before we start the test, there is something that I need to pass out before we start the test. As the purple-haired Jonin said this, she held up in her left hand a group of papers, one enough for each genin to fill out. You must sign these agreement forms. Anko said with a cheerily false smile on her face as she tried to intimidate the genin. For some, this was working quite well. Some random Chunin hopeful from Takigakure asked what the forms were for. This brought Anko's weird sense of humor as she laughed at her own joke, one which none of the other people in the immediate area did. You see, there will be deaths in this exam, and if I don't have you sign these, it will be all my fault. The purple-haired girl said with a grin on her face. I am going to explain the second test soon. After that you can go and sign the forms and check back at the booth behind me for the final rules that you will need to know. Anko stated in a professional tone of voice, to which the genin nodded and listened intently to see what the rules of the test were. I'll now explain the second test. Simply put, you will attempt the ultimate survival test. Anko stated with a pause as she allowed the genin in front of her the chance to take in the information before continuing on from where she left off. First, I will explain the area in which the test will take place. Anko said, regaining the attention of the Chunin hopeful. Around Training Ground 44 there are 44 gates. Inside the Forest of Death there is a tower in the center, which is the place where you will be meeting up. The quickest way to the center is to take the river, in which goes directly from one end of the training ground to the other side via the center tower. Since the training ground is set up in a circle fashion, the radius from wherever you start your test is 10 kilometers. During the survival part of the test, you will be asked to complete a certain task. Using your many skills as a ninja, you will compete in a no-holds-barred scroll battle. Anko stated as she was now getting to the fun part of the pre-test warm-up. When someone from the crowd of genin asked what a scroll battle consisted of, Anko obliged to tell the kid what the answer was. You will fight over these two scrolls. One is labeled as heaven while the other is labeled as earth. There are 63 people here, so that means there are 21 teams. Half of you will be getting the heaven scroll, whilst the other half plus the additional team will be getting a earth scroll. Anko stated, to which the genin nodded, wondering what the importance of the scrolls were. To complete this test, you will need to make your way through the forest, navigating past all of the friendly wildlife, and get to the tower with a set of both scrolls. Anko said, to which the gears inside the Chunin hopefuls' minds realized that they would have to fight one another. As if the fact that no matter what, at least half of the teams were destined to fail at this point, Anko decided to make things even worse for the genin wanting to attain the rank of Chunin. There is a time limit, 120 hours, exactly 5 days. Oh, and if you think that you will be allowed to pack whatever food you have previously prepared, you are sadly mistaken, as we will be confiscating all of it, as you need to be ready for the unexpected. The purple-haired Tokubetsu Jonin said as she had a rather malicious grin on her face when she looked towards the genin. This statement alone elicited a major response from the Akimichi clan heir alone, as he had packed practically his whole bag with food. What? What about dinner? The boy shouted as he looked as if he had never gone a day without gorging on food. Uncaring to what the fat boy was going through, Anko spoke up, amusing herself when she used Anko methods when it came to cheering the boy up. You're on your own. The forest is full of all kinds of food, just watch out for the man-eating beasts, the venomous insects and the poisonous plants. Anko said in an offhand manner which only deflated the boy's spirits even more. Continuing on from where she left off before she was interrupted, Anko spoke more about the test that the genin in front of her would be taking. And it's not even likely that 10 of you will pass. As the days go on, the distance to the tower will become longer, the time will become shorter and the forest is crawling with enemies, so you will not get much sleep. So not only will some people fail from losing the scrolls, but some will also die from the severity of the conditions you guys will be going in. Anko declared to the genin, who a few of them gulped as they were quite nervous. Starting on a semi-new subject, Anko talked to the genin about what could get them to fail. Now I'll talk about what will disqualify. First, those that don't make it to the tower by the end of the 5 days holding both of the scrolls will be disqualified automatically. Second, those who lose a teammate in the forest or have a team member killed by an enemy will be automatically disqualified. As a rule, there is no quitting in the middle of the test, as you will be stuck in the forest for the remaining however many days. And the final rule is this: you must not look in the scroll until you make it to the tower. Anko said with a tone of finality that just dared someone stupid enough to ask the question. For her happiness, there was someone that was arrogant enough to ask the lady wearing nothing at all what would happen if they opened the scroll. That person was Kiba and Izuka. Oh yeah? What would happen if you did open the scroll? The boy with a dog on top of his head asked to the crazy snake lady. Anko giggled, creeping everyone out. That'll be a surprise for whoever does it. A chunin will be asked to handle sensitive and important information. This is a test to test your trustworthiness. Anko stated to the canine-based ninja, who nodded and backtracked a little bit as the lady was scary in his own mind. Now, that's it for the explanations. Exchange your 3 forms for your scroll, then choose a gate to start from and wait for the signal to start. Anko said, to which all of the teams got ready for the exam. Everyone follow an instructor and go to your gates. The test will begin in 30 minutes. Anko shouted out so that the genin knew what they had to do and got down to it. 30 minutes later, and the chakra-enhanced voice of the sultry woman was loud enough so that everyone at a gate would be able to hear what she had to say. The second test of the chunin exams begins now. Anko shouted as the gates that were operated by a seal opened and allowed the competitors to go and compete in the survival test that pitted them all against each other. Not even 2 minutes after the announcement that the test was underway, there was already a battle between genin going on, and the Konoha team had the advantage thanks to the fact that they had a member of the Aburame clan on their team who had an innate knowledge of the forest's wildlife. A ninja from the hidden sand village spotted Team 8 standing out in the open, and he chuckled to himself, thinking that it couldn't get any easier when it came to getting an opponent's scroll. He was wrong though, dead wrong, as the Aburame clan member had set up a trap and was reaping the benefits of it. What that plan was to have Shino use his ability to communicate with the wildlife that made up the Forest of Death and use them to fight for him, and use them as a distraction for Hinata and Kiba to attack them. The ninja from the hidden sand, whilst he was chuckling to himself thinking about how easily he was going to win the battle, did not realize until it was too late that there was something stuck to his arm, sucking out his blood at an alarming rate. Surprisingly, it was not Shino who decided to comment on the outcome when all 3 of the ninjas that made up the only other team from their village to make it through, apart from Team Sabaku to make it into the Forest of Death, that decided to comment about how the 3 Suna shinobi fell to the ground from lack of blood pressure thanks to the jumping leeches. It was Kiba. The Leaf Village's jumping leeches will sense life forms and attack in a group. 5 minutes of sucking your blood and you will be sleeping in the next world. Kiba said, to which Shino was impressed and nodded at the statement as it was true to the T. With what Kiba said now done, Team 8 ransacked the team from Suna's bodies to find the scroll that would allow them to move on to the 3rd and final round of the Chunin exams. With Team 7. Hearing the screams of the team that got defeated by a bunch of leeches, Sakura spoke to her team as she was having second thoughts about entering the Forest of Death a moment ago. Was that a human scream that I just heard? Yes, that was a scream coming from a human. Don't worry though, as long as we work together and keep our guards up all the time, we will be safe. Naruto stated in a softer voice than what people like Irika would expect him to use. Thanks to the words coming from Naruto, Sakura's confidence in coming out with not only her life but also the 2 scrolls that were needed to move on to the next part of the exam went up quite high. Feeling an urge to go to the toilet, Naruto signaled his team to a halt as he spoke to them. "Sorry guys, but I need to go to the toilet," Naruto said to his team, to which they nodded as they knew that Naruto went to the toilet more often than what normal people did. Going behind a tree because he didn't want to get separated too far from his team and yet be far enough away so that he didn't invoke the unnecessary wrath of his pink-haired female teammate. With Sasuke. While Naruto was busily releasing his bodily fluid, a person in disguise as Naruto came out from where Naruto left and started talking about how he now felt more relieved compared to before. When Sakura said for Naruto to stop it as a lady did not deserve to hear it. Sasuke decided that it was time to step and take decisive action. As soon as Sakura suggested starting their journey again, the Uchiha clan heir lunged at Naruto and gave a vicious punch to the cheek of Naruto, to which Sakura spoke to Sasuke about it being too much. "What was that for?" the fake Naruto said, annoyed at what his supposed teammate had just done to him. Uncaring about what the Naruto felt, Sasuke spoke up. "Where is the real Naruto?" Sasuke demanded with a sense of finality in his words when he looked at the fake Naruto. Nervous that he had been found out by the Uchiha heir, the person in disguise tried one last final attempt to fool them that he was the real Naruto. "What are you saying all of a sudden?" the boy questioned as he rubbed the blood off of his face from where Sasuke had just hit him. Annoyed at the pathetic attempt to try and save face, Sasuke spoke, giving no room for a counter-argument. "You're a loser who is worse than Naruto at transforming. Your shuriken pouch is on your right side when he is left-handed, and the main difference is that you only have 2 whisker marks on your cheeks compared to the 3 that he has," Sasuke stated blandly, to which the disguised ninja cursed and let loose his hold over the transformation. Once his hold on the Academy standard jutsu was undone, the man who had an aim headband across his forehead charged at Sasuke. "Fire release, mythical fire flower jutsu," the Sharingan warrior shouted as his jutsu came to life. While this was happening, the Uchiha clan heir activated his clan's famous bloodline as he wanted to test it out more against better opponents. "Another test of my strength," Sasuke excitedly thought to himself with a smile on his face. The way how he did this was via using his Sharingan, slowing down of movement to practically a standstill, and used his chakra so that his foot struck to the thrown kunai and caught it on the sole of his ninja sandal. All in the same movement, the raven-haired boy flung the kunai from his foot and made the kunai sail through the air at the rain ninja. Oboro, seeing this, was able to dodge the flying kunai barely as he was in mid-air. Sasuke jumped into the air with quite a lot of speed with a kunai in hand and used it to pierce through the lungs of the rain ninja, which made blood spurt all over the face of the Uchiha clan heir. With a confident smirk on his face, Uchiha Sasuke said the final words that ninja from Aim no Kuni would ever hear, and they were, "Just relax for a moment and you will be dead," the Uchiha said with a smirk of pure confidence with a touch of arrogance on his face. With Naruto. Whilst Naruto was preparing himself to go to the toilet, the 2 other members of Team Oboro were preparing themselves for their ambush on Naruto and to get it done quickly so that they could meet up with their teammate and take down the 2 remaining members of Team 7. This did not happen, however, as they were severely underestimating the skills of one Naruto Uzumaki. With his pants half down his legs, Naruto pulled out a couple of kunai, threw them in the air and brought his hands to doing hand seals in front of his body and called out his jutsu. Wind release, violent wind palm jutsu. If it wasn't hard enough trying to dodge the blades of metal that were flying fast towards them before they were augmented by Naruto's wind ninjutsu, then they were surely impossible to dodge now that their speed had been boosted up immensely. The sound of the piercing flesh that was the rain nins taking a body hit that went through one side of their body and out the back with little resistance as it cut through the internal organs of the genin, and they dropped to the ground like concrete. Seeing that he had managed to get the job done with so little effort, Naruto sighed as he was hoping for something a little more challenging. With a sigh marring his face, Naruto spoke in a dejected tone of voice as he wished that there was more combat involved. "Well, that was an anticlimactic ending," Naruto said before he went to where his teammates were so that he could meet up with them. Seeing that Naruto was alive, Sakura started speaking. "Naruto, you're alive," Sakura said with relief obvious in her voice as she did not want to lose a teammate so early on. "How did you manage to beat your opponents?" Sakura questioned as she wanted to know if the other people were defeated just as easily as what the person Sasuke-kun defeated was. They were overconfident. They did not know my abilities. They are now dead. Naruto stated, to which Sasuke nodded, as that was practically the way how his fight went with Oboro. Only the raven-haired Uchiha wished he was in Naruto's position so that he could face a 2-on-1 situation. Once everything was sorted out and Naruto had ransacked the body of the rain ninjas, in which he picked up a heaven scroll. It was too bad for Team 7, as they had already gotten one of them from the start of the exam, which meant that they would have to go and find a new team to do battle with. Once that was done, Team 7 made their way further into the forest to find a new enemy to beat and take their scroll. An hour of careful and cautious jumping on top of the tree line at a slow pace, Team 7 came into a small clearing that they would have to pass to get back into the tree line on the other side. When they dropped down into the clearing though, the trap that a person wearing what looked to be a Kizugakure headband on his forehead used a majorly overpowered version of the wind release, Great Breakthrough Jutsu. The jutsu was overpowered so much that it, instead of being classified as a C-rank jutsu, it would instead be classified as a high B, borderline A-rank jutsu. Despite knowing how to tree climb, the intensity of the jutsu pushed Naruto away from his teammates. Thud. Knocking his head on the ground when he landed caused Naruto to feel a severe case of lightheadedness. It was truly a miracle how he managed to survive the fall and still have conscious thought when he hit the ground would be a mystery for all civilian doctors. Looking up, Naruto saw a looming shadow and tried to take a good look at it, and it was then that he noticed that there was something familiar about the animal that the shadow was attached to. It was none other than the daughter of the Snake Clan king, Shakudo. Shakudo-sama? Naruto hesitantly questioned as he wondered what it meant that he was seeing her right now when he thought that he was going to get eaten by a huge animal thanks to the blast of wind that nearly knocked him out. When the person in front of her called her by her first name though, she was absolutely shocked. How could some pathetic genin have the knowledge of who she actually was? The purple snake fumed as she thought that someone was giving out private information. Like turning her attention to her meal, she realized something. Seeing a giant blonde mop of hair on her meal made Shakudo reminisce about that Uzumaki boy that her father had told her to go and see, as he was going to be the future of the clan. Seeing that this kid had bright golden blonde hair along with a Konoha headband around his forehead made the purple rattlesnake used all of her senses this time around to see who it was that was in front of her. When she used her highly developed sense of smell on the boy, she was shocked. It was Naruto, the boy that she had come to like from their first meeting when she terrified the crap out of him. It was not as if Naruto had an easy time recognizing the snake, because the reptilian creature had recently gone through quite a large growth spurt since the last time she had met with Naruto. While previously she was about 5 times the size of one of the regular anacondas that you could find outside of Mimaiyo-bushi, she was now double that size she was when Naruto and Shakudo first met. Now, instead of being large enough that she could aid him before with a bit of discomfort, the princess of the Snake Clan would be able to not only eat Naruto but his other 2 teammates all in one go with not even the slightest bit of discomfort. Naruto-kun, while I certainly was not expecting you to be the one that I was tasked to kill. When the large purple rattlesnake stated this, Naruto tensed as he did not know what to do, since he wanted to so badly to get into the Snake Clan. They were the catalyst for all of the positive changes he had made in the past 5 months. You don't have to worry, Naruto-kun. I was ordered to prevent you from interfering with the only other summoner on our contract. Thankfully, he never mentioned anything of killing you. Shakudo said to Naruto, to which the blonde-haired boy smiled as relief was flooding into his system, as he didn't want to fight Shakudo-sama since he had gotten along well with her. Curious as to who the summoner who wanted him out of the way, Naruto asked the large snake in front of him who the human representative for the Snake Clan was. Excuse me, Shakudo-sama, but who exactly is the person that summoned you? Naruto questioned as he had a sneaking suspicion on who it was. It is regrettable that my grandfather allowed the one you know as Orochimaru sign our contract when he was your age, as we had no idea how evil he would turn out back then, since he had no trace of evil in him then. When we found out just how corrupted he was, we weren't able to kill him, as not only is he very powerful, but with our clan values, we will not kill other members of the clan no matter what the circumstances. The princess of the Snake Clan said in a reserved tone, to which Naruto nodded to them, as he knew exactly what it felt like to have someone else tarnishing the way people looked at you felt. It was then that Shakudo spoke again, getting the attention of Naruto, who was reminded some slightly unpleasant thoughts. Despite this, two humans on our summoning contract are allowed to kill one another as they do not fall under the same jurisdiction as snakes. They are a different kind of member of the clan as they represent us to the outside world. If you join the clan, you will be expected to kill Orochimaru. Naruto gulped. As much as he knew he had gotten stronger, that was a big task. Shikudo-sama, do you personally know anything else that I could to ensure that I am in the best position possible to gain entrance into renowned Snake Clan? Naruto politely stated as he wanted to know whether or not he was close to getting in or whether there were other things that he needed to do to get into the clan. While Naruto was asking this question, he was hoping that he was not being too nosy, that he was seen as someone who was impatient. Thankfully for the female snake didn't see it that way and allowed Naruto the answer to that question. Looking at Naruto and noting that he looked much better in his choice of clothing and noticed that olive and black combination in clothing was a much better choice and one that her father would approve until they could get him fitted into some Snake Clan clothing to represent them. Sensing the vibe coming from Naruto, she could easily tell that he had changed tremendously in the past 4 months since their first meeting. There was no doubt in her mind that Naruto was going to become the next summoner of the Snake Clan. She could just feel his raw potential. If you put on a good showing during this round and make it to the final round, well, we will have to train extensively to make sure that you fly the Hebe banner proudly. Shikudo said, to which Naruto got a massive grin as the only thing that was standing in the way of him getting the closest thing to a family was making it through these exams. Thank you, Shikudo Onisama, Naruto called out with obvious happiness radiating off of the boy as the blonde-haired genin from the Hidden Leaf Village jumped forward and wrapped as much of his arms as he could around the princess of the Snake Clan. Shocked and touched that Naruto was giving her this much emotion through the hug as she had certainly not expected, it made her reevaluate her opinion on the boy. As she remembered that her father had told her that he was an orphan who had practically no forms of love in a familial sense throughout his whole childhood and was someone who clung to the bonds of family tightly, made her feel sympathy for the boy. Wrapping part of her body around Naruto, Shikudo gave a comforting hug to which the boy could not feel any happier at the moment, and it was this that made him forget entirely about his two teammates getting attacked by one of the Densetsu no Sannin. While I believe that we should get going or otherwise you will not be able to complete your test, as no doubt your teammates will need you after what Orochimaru does to them, because he seems to have a specific interest in that Uchiha boy. No doubt, I guess that it has to do with his major desire to learn all ninjutsu, and the Sharingan would help with that immensely. The princess of all snakes said to Naruto, to which the blonde-haired boy realized that he had forgotten all about his team. Knowing that he couldn't do anything until Shikudo left the place or otherwise she would be forced to attack him with the intent to kill. Naruto hoped that whatever it was that the Snake Sannin was doing to his team was something that they would be able to live through and get to the tower so that he could get into the final round of the Chunin exams, as that would allow him to be inducted into the Snake Clan, something that he really wanted to happen. After the two saying goodbye to each other, Naruto heard a loud scream enter his eardrums, and it was coming from somewhere fairly close to where he was, and with the thought that it could have been Sakura, Naruto rushed towards where sound came from so that he could help his teammate who was in some form of distress. It was then that Naruto saw someone that he hadn't seen in over 3 months, but someone that he was very glad to see, as it was truly his first friend that liked him for who he was. It was none other than the girl that gave him first proper kiss, and he was delighted to see her as he thought that he would never get to see the great girl that was Karin-chan again. Seeing that his friend was in trouble as she resting up against a tree where she was heavily frightened since there was a large bear that was growling at her, indicating that he thought that she would make a good meal. This meant that Naruto had to take action to save her life, and take action he did. Just as he was preparing his jutsu which would permanently make sure that Karin was safe, Naruto witnessed the bear growl so loudly that the girl got flown back and lost her glasses in the process, indicating to Naruto that she couldn't see without them. Just before the bear could deliver the final blow into the red-headed girl, Naruto launched his wind release, drilling air bullet jutsu at the large omnivore and hit it right in neck, where the jutsu was strong enough in the cutting ability that when it the fur of the bear, it went straight through the animal and managed to hit the external carotid artery, which delivered blood to the brain and would make the bear incapacitated immediately, and death would follow shortly after. Dropping down to the ground to see if Karin-chan was alright, Naruto walked over to where she was trying to find her glasses and picked them up for her. Amused at the situation that Karin was in, Naruto spoke up to her. "Here, close your eyes, Karin-chan," Naruto said to the girl with red hair in front of him. Trying to figure out whether the voice that was speaking to her was trustworthy or not, Karin decided to trust in the person who had an oddly familiar voice that she could get her vision back. Opening her red eyes so that she could see who it was that she would have to thank for helping her out immensely, Karin locked onto the face of her rescuer and could not do anything but blush extremely red as she realized just who it was that had put her glasses on. It was the same person that had taken her out on her very first date, who also coincidentally the same person who she gave her first kiss to. It was none other than Naruto Uzumaki, and there wasn't another person in the world that she would rather have saved her. Completely confused by the emotions that she was feeling and knowing that she had to do some way of thanking Naruto for his heroic deed, the red-haired girl jumped up into Naruto's chest and wrapped her legs around his waist whilst she initiated a kiss that showed just how much she thanked Naruto. Caught off guard by the act, Naruto blushed bright red, as unlike the first kiss that Naruto had shared with Karin was one that was awkward and weird for him. This one was different in the fact that Naruto and Karin had some sort of idea in what they liked when they kissed each other, and that made the moment all the more memorable for the two, as for them looking back on it as a married couple, they would say that it was arguably the best kiss that they had ever shared. Naruto! Karin called out with excitement, seeing her friend once more. Naruto Uzumaki, at your service, he replied with a big grin on his face. The blonde was just as excited as Karin to see one another. That kiss had gotten the blood flowing and he had adrenaline running through his body. Wait, Uzumaki? The grass ninja questioned, a look of horror slowly dawning on her face, much to the surprise of Naruto. Yeah? Naruto questioned, unaware of the calculations Karin's mind was making. I'm an Uzumaki too. Despite all the changes Naruto had made to his personality, this was not what he was expecting. Ever since he was a young boy, did he believe that he was going to meet a family member? The hope was too painful. It was better to just not have hope at all. You're probably my cousin. I made out and had a crush on my cousin. EWWW. The red-haired girl screamed, horrified at the thought of getting intimate with a family member. Slowly, Naruto came out of his reverie, still shell-shocked that Karin, the first girl he made out with, was his cousin. Feeling embarrassed that the first two people he had kissed were either male or his family, Naruto felt the rush of blood to his face and wanted to hightail it out of there. Looking at Karin once more, he could tell that she was absolutely mortified as well. Sorry Karin, I really have to go back to my team, they are facing up against someone really strong. I am going to leave a clone here, you two can catch up, and when the clone dispels, I will get all of the memories and it will be like we talked. The red-haired girl didn't say anything as she watched Naruto create a shadow clone, leaving it behind as he headed back into the battlefield. So how have you been, how is training to become a doctor going? The clone of Naruto questioned, desperately hoping to forget about the new information he had just learnt. Well Naruto-kun, when we first met, I had only barely learnt the mystical palm healing jutsu. I've really been practicing and getting better with the jutsu. The red-haired girl said with obvious pride in her voice as she wanted Naruto-kun to know that she took her training seriously. Before Naruto could offer some congratulations on Karin-chan's improvement, she cut him off by going on again about how she had gotten better. Oh, and I almost forgot. I also found out that I am what is called a sensor shinobi, so I am in the process of developing a jutsu based on that. At the moment I can sense where a chakra signature is within a 5 kilometers radius if I really try hard. Karin stated as she was proud of this ability, as she knew that hardly any people in the shinobi continent were blessed as born sensor shinobi. Congratulations Karin-chan, I know you must have worked hard on the medical jutsu, as I know it not only takes a lot of knowledge but a ton of chakra control to even get the basics down. Blushing at the praise, Karin shifted the conversation over to her newfound relative. So Naruto-kun, how has your training paid off from when we went on our date, since we first met? Karin asked as she wondered just how good Naruto was now, having a feel for his chakra. She assumed he was good enough to be a chunin. Well, I followed your diet plan and did ask Kakashi-sensei for an increase in training. I've gotten stronger, faster, and I also have gotten much better in my wind ninjutsu. Naruto stated with pride. It was moments like this that made him look back and remember how far he had come. As the duo conversed and caught up regarding their lives since their meeting, Karin opened up that she questioned whether or not if she wanted to be a ninja. She questioned whether or not she had the desire to keep up with all of the physical requirements and mental conditioning to become a genin. Ever since she had started healing people, the girl realized that she enjoyed helping, far more than killing. The fact that she had never been on a mission before she got sent in here was something infuriated Naruto. Hearing that she was basically a pawn for the village to get more missions made Naruto rage. There was a soft spot for finding out that others had no control over their circumstances. What was even worse was that both of her supposed teammates thought that they were the leader of the team and went their own way, expecting the others to follow. When the other teammate went in a different direction, it left Karin in the middle with no one. Thankfully for the red-haired girl's sake, she was a sensor-type ninja which allowed her to evade all of the people inside the forest. Eventually the conversation died down and Naruto knew that he had to go, but not before escorting Karin to one of the gates. The forest of death was far too dangerous for her. Karin knew this as well and hoped that she could somehow meet up with Naruto again. Walking over to the blonde, she gave him the biggest hug she could muster and wrapped her arms around him. "I'll miss you, Naruto-kun. I wish that either you were a Kizugakure ninja or that I was a ninja from Konoha." Opening her heart, still coming to terms with finding out she had another family member. Whereas the conversation between two Uzumakis were taking place, the real Naruto rushed back to his two teammates. Spotting his two teammates, he was horrified to see the sight of Sakura holding Sasuke over her shoulder, struggling to stand. Immediately, he made a clone to take the Uchiha off her hands. Noticing Naruto, all of the emotions that she had just experienced at the hands of Orochimaru came to the surface. "Where the hell were you, Naruto? When we needed you the most, you didn't show up." The main thing that Kakashi-sensei taught us was that those who abandon the mission are scum, but those that abandon their comrades are worse than scum. Sakura hissed to her blonde-haired teammate who visibly flinched. "She's right. I took my time to learn about Karin and her being family over my team. I'm incredibly sorry, Sakura. I was blown away by that huge gust of wind, and when I woke up from being knocked unconscious, I was eaten by this huge snake. So then I had to try and not being dissolved by the acid in the snake's stomach. I got to you guys as fast as I could." He felt bad for lying, he truly did. Naruto was also surprised at how fast was able to come up with the lie. Too fatigued to really care at this point, Sakura was merely grateful that Naruto had arrived and she could have someone else to rely on. With the sky getting darker and darker, Naruto set out to create clones, laying down traps, find food, and then cooking it for Sakura and himself. The second Sakura ate the food and lied down, all the adrenaline left her body, quickly falling asleep. "I am sorry, I'll do better next time," Naruto thought to himself, guilty that he let his selfish desires take priority over Team 7. With a little plan sorted out, Kin, the only female on the sound team, placed an exploding tag on a squirrel and sent it over to where the blonde-haired boy was, guessing he was the only one left remaining. This was not the case, however, since Naruto saw that there was an explosive seal stuck onto the back of the squirrel and threw a kunai at the animal to get it frightened enough to run away. Lifting his head from where the small animal was, Naruto spotted 3 ninjas sitting on a combination of rocks and a tree branch looking at him with the intent to kill. With guilt in his mind regarding his actions the day before, Naruto took it upon himself to fight this alone. He would put the weight on his shoulders. Kin spoke up. "Wake up, Sasuke-kun, we want to kill him." Kin stated as forcefully as she could to Naruto, who just looked disinterested, as a part of his ploy to get them to be overconfident in the fact that they would come closer to him in which he could activate his traps. A cold, menacing look appeared on the blonde's face. "What is the weird mark that Orochimaru placed on Sasuke's neck?" As much as it was a question, it was a demand. Sakura had filled him in on all of the details yesterday, and Naruto was not here to play niceties. Said 3 sound ninja looked shocked that the kid in front of them knew who their master was and was not afraid to say his name. Regaining their composure, it was the trigger-happy Zaku that spoke up next. "Hearing that, it means that we can't let you go and we'll have to kill not only Sasuke but you and the chick over there next to him." The boy spoke with a confident air surrounding him. "Wait, Zaku, stop right there," Dosa said before any serious damage could be done to the black-eyed boy, as he noticed that there was something wrong with the area in front of them. It looked as if it was specifically made for a trap. "Huh, why?" The now curious Genin from the Hidden Sound village questioned, wondering what was so important that he wasn't able to battle the blonde-haired boy. "You're not very good," Doso commented as he picked up a rock from the ground and tossed it up and down in his hand as he spoke to Naruto. "A recently overturned stone that's colored different. Grass doesn't grow here. A booby trap is pointless unless it goes unnoticed." Doso lectured to Naruto, who pretended to look shocked although they did not know something that he did. "Pfft, so that kunai was to not allow the squirrel to trigger the trap." The boy mused to himself although everyone could hear him. The next person to speak up was Dosu, as he wanted to get the battle over and done with so that he could get to the tower. "Since we have no need for them all, let's kill the three of them." Doso commanded, to which both Zaku and Kin nodded dutifully, and the three ninjas from the Hidden Sound village jumped from their positions and attacked Naruto with the intent to kill. Naruto cut the cord to his trap, watching the log fall down towards the enemy ninja. He assumed that they would use the tree climbing technique to dodge it. Instead, Dosa placed his hand and used his melody gauntlet device on his arm to generate sound waves, blowing it up with ease, leaving Kin and Zaku to freely attack. Surprised that they had managed to get through so easily, Naruto quickly thought of a new tactic. Seeing the look on Naruto's face, Dosa commented as he hated how kids from the Leaf Village got everything for free. "Frankly speaking, you have no talent. People like you have to work harder. A weakling like you shouldn't mess with guys like us," Dosa stated to Naruto, who just had a smirk on his face as he noticed something that they didn't. Let it be known that Dosu had an inferiority complex with those from pampered villages such as the village hidden in the leaves. Wind release, drilling air bullet jutsu. Naruto called out with emphasis, fired the air bullet at Kin. She was in mid-air and had less leverage to dodge. Shadow clone jutsu, Naruto called out as multiple versions of himself came out and filled the open path. "Ah!" Kin screamed, having tried her best to avoid the attack Naruto sent at her. Her arm hung loosely by her side, barely holding on. Blood rushed out and you could see the threads of the muscles where Naruto cut her bicep, almost completely off the bone. It was a wake-up call for Team 10, who were watching from afar, hoping to pick up the scraps. Whilst it was a shady tactic, everything was fair game. Ino Yamanaka, who watched on holding her breath, widened her eyes at the sheer damage Naruto was capable of. Seeing him be so ruthless was a shock. He really has changed. He looks kinda cool right now. Watching the follow-up wind ninjutsu Naruto used, Team 10 barely dodged out of the way, with Choji copping a tree branch to the abdomen. The movement alerted Naruto that there was another group of ninjas nearby, heightening his defensive and protective instincts that much higher. As Zaku used the holes in his arms to clear the clones of Naruto, they attacked as a sphere, coming from all sides. Zaku got smashed in the back of his head, causing him to stumble slightly. The stumble was all that the remaining clones of Naruto needed to pounce, yanking on his arms at angles that the human body didn't bend to. "Ah!" Zaku screamed. Choji, who watched on, winced hearing the multiple cracking sounds. "Wow, is this really Naruto?" Spotting his chance, Naruto used yet another drilling air bullet jutsu, his best, most damaging jutsu so far, and aimed it at Zaku. Given that Naruto needed to protect his teammates, he knew he needed to keep as much distance as possible. Staggering to his feet, Zaku released an air wave, killing the clones, only to realize that another wind ninjutsu was coming his way. Attempting to dodge as best as he could, he moved to the side and fell in a lifeless heap. The blades from the air bullet cut cleanly on his exposed neck. Watching this with wide eyes, Ino couldn't believe how calm Naruto was under pressure. He was causing serious and significant injuries and wasn't threatened at all. Naruto threw 5 kunai in quick succession, channeling wind-natured chakra into each one's as best as he could. The 5th blade pierced the flesh of Kin, hitting her right in the chest. The girl was too busy focusing on the injury she had already sustained rather than focusing on Naruto. "TCH, they were useless anyway," Doso said, in an attempt to perk himself up. As much as he viewed himself as better than his former teammates, he didn't expect this blonde exception to take them out so easily. Nerves were starting to form. Right as Naruto was about to engage Dosu, something blindsided him and took him by surprise. Upon closer inspection, it was Sasuke, with all of these weird marks all over his body. Sasuke, with speed that Doso couldn't follow, raced forward, dodging the incoming attack and smashed the gauntlets. Chakra was overflowing, coming out of his hands, giving him an adrenaline rush. It was a drug. With his main weapons gone, Doso was helpless when Sasuke grabbed a hold of his neck and twisted it with no care in the world. Despite having killed 2 people in quick succession, Naruto was confronted at what he was witnessing. "I feel great, I feel alive. I have so much power," Sasuke loudly said to himself, looking down at his hands. For Ino Yamanaka, who was watching the whole, it was painting a polar opposite of the 2 boys she thought she knew. Here Naruto was the cool, calm and collected type, whereas Sasuke was acting like a full-blown psychopath. It scared her honestly. Being in control of your emotions and state was the one thing her father had drilled into her as paramount importance. Seeing Sasuke so unhinged was eye-opening. Having woken up to the destruction, Sakura raced forward as quickly as she could and hugged Sasuke tightly. "Stop, Sasuke. Please," she screamed with tears coming down her face. It was also at this moment that Ino Yamanaka realized that she had lost the battle for Sasuke's affection, because she knew that if she had done something similar to what Sakura had done, he would have just chucked her off. Even then, for the pink-haired girl, it was a hard task for her to get Sasuke to concede, as he had a counter-argument prepared. "What about Naruto? Didn't you see him just kill a girl in cold blood along with the other sound ninja?" the Sharingan-using boy called out, feeling for the first time in his life the wrong side of double standards. The reply that Sakura gave to her beloved crush was one that spelt the final conclusion of Team 7. "I don't care about Naruto at all I care about is you, Sasuke-kun." That statement alone, coming from Sakura, was enough for Sasuke to concede and make the curse mark recede back into where it came from. She was still feeling the effects of Naruto's perceived betrayal, where he didn't help out against Orochimaru. His heart started beating faster and faster. "I really am on my own, aren't I?" A single tear ran down his face before he wiped it away. All the Yamanaka princess could do was gape in shock. To think that she would say that in hearing distance from her teammate. Her heart went out to Naruto. Even as a beginner psychologist, she could see how much Naruto wanted attention, validation, and a family. She knew he was an orphan and must have attachment issues. Silence filled the clearing as all members of all teams, including Team Guy, who were silently watching on. Getting the scroll he needed from Doso's body, Naruto looked up at Neji and the rest of Team Guy. "Let this be a lesson of who Team 7 is," Naruto said, full of confidence as he stared the boy down. The Hyuga prodigy, being slightly apprehensive with fighting Team 7 thanks to that display of corrupt chakra from Sasuke, merely turned around and left without saying anything. Lee and Tenten quickly followed. It was then that Naruto turned his attention to the next generation of the Ino Shikacho trio, who had come out from their hiding spot a little while ago to witness Sasuke's awakening. "You 3 don't even have the guts to fight. What makes cowards like you even have the chance to take our scroll from us?" Naruto questioned to Team 10. Putting on a face of confidence, she strolled over to Naruto, swaying her hips, watching as his eyes followed her body. "Fuck, those hips," Naruto thought, mesmerized at the sight of her pulling her hair out of its ponytail. "Wait, she sent me that message during the first exam. She's probably messaging me to stare at her." Shaking himself out of his reverie, Naruto got even more defensive and on alert. Shame for Naruto that Ino wasn't using any jutsu at all. "Stop your attempt at seducing the scroll out of my hand, Ino. You're anorexic. Why would any guy want to be with you?" Naruto stated to the blonde-haired girl, who was stunned speechless. All of the magazines she had read said that guys liked girls who were as skinny as possible. Was her diet really that bad that she would be classified as anorexic? Well, that was something that she would fix up on when she got out of this damnable forest. It was then that the girl's attention was directed back at Naruto when he spoke. "Who do you think you are, talking to me like that? I wasn't trying to seduce you, I was coming to see if you were okay, given your team doesn't care about you, loser." Highly offended at Naruto commenting on her body due to her own insecurities, Ino retaliated back. Plus, she was lying, given that she was indeed trying to seduce Naruto to get his scroll. Being reminded of that wasn't pleasant. With Sakura in her own world fussing over Sasuke, she didn't see the hurt look on Naruto's face. Turning around with her head held high, she didn't want to show she was deeply hurt by what Naruto said. She also didn't want to show she respected that he said no to her, albeit in a rude way. No one ever told her no. That just makes him that much more interesting, and I am going to get to the bottom of how and why he changed. I can probably fix him too. Out of the smoke that was in front of them, out popped the Chunin instructor that had been tasked to teach them all how to be a shinobi came out from the two scrolls. Iruka-sensei? Naruto questioned as he wondered why it was he that was standing in front of them. Smiling because it seemed that Naruto had started taking his shinobi lifestyle much more seriously, going by the new look of clothing that he had on. Dismissing his internal thoughts, Iruka spoke up. At the end of the second test, it's up to the Chunins to meet up with the exam takers, and I was allowed to be the one that got to meet up with you guys. I was impressed that the three of you managed to pass in just over 2 days. I thought that it would take longer for you, but I am nonetheless impressed. All three of you have passed the second test of the Chunin exams. The former sensei of Team 7 stated, to which all three of the genin ninjas in front of him smiled and in Sasuke's case smirked, as the Forest of Death certainly lived up to its name when they were in there. Seeing that they all wanted to go to bed, Iruka got on with what he was supposed to do so Team 7 could get some much better sleeping conditions compared to the ones that they had the previous night. This is the motto that I was supposed to tell you about when you summoned me. The heaven in this paragraph refers to the human mind and the earth refers to the human body. If you lack heaven, seek wisdom and be prepared. If you lack earth, run in the fields, seek advantages. If you have both heaven and earth, then you can succeed in dangerous situations. The 5 days that the second test goes for test the abilities of the genin and whether or not they are worthy of becoming Chunin, and you guys successfully passed that. Chunin ninjas are at the rank of squad captains. That means that you have the responsibility to guide your team in missions. The knowledge, the stamina and inner wisdom are all things that Chunins need to have for your duties. The Chunin instructor lectured to his former students, who all nodded, showing that they comprehended what he was saying. Just before Iruka used a jutsu to go back to the Hokage and report that his mission was completed, he had one final thing to say. Now, is there one last thing that either of you three want to say before I go and allow you three to sleep? The scar-faced man stated. Fueled by the anger of Sakura saying she didn't care about him along with Ino driving it home, Naruto spitefully spoke up. Sasuke got bitten by Orochimaru and had some sort of jutsu used on him that made him unconscious for a long time, and also made it that when he woke up, he used some form of chakra that was as evil as what the Kyuubi's chakra was like. Naruto stated unemotionally, to which both Sakura and Sasuke looked at him with wide eyes, as the plan before they entered the tower was to not tell anyone about the seal on his collarbone. This statement that came from Naruto was quickly met by Sakura speaking. "What are you talking about, Naruto? We all agreed that we wouldn't tell anyone about what happened." The pink-haired girl hissed at Naruto as she wanted to do this to impress Sasuke, even if it made her concerned. That statement that Sakura made was quickly and swiftly replied back to by the blonde-haired boy. "In the forest, you made it abundantly clear when you wanted to stop Sasuke from going psycho that I wasn't a part of the team and that you only cared about Sasuke," Naruto said with a touch of venom lacing his words. This reply was one that the pink-haired girl was certainly not expecting, because Naruto had never replied back at her with so much anger before. What she didn't know was that Naruto was holding a lot of it in, which meant that Sakura wasn't getting the full force of his anger. Iruka for his part was shocked that Naruto was showing signs of anger directed to Sakura. The Naruto that he knew was always happy and someone that would do anything and everything for Sakura. Seeing this new version of Naruto, who was much colder compared to his previous self, made Iruka wish that was more like his previous personality compared to this new one. Dismissing that, Iruka knew that he had to take this new piece of information to Hokage-sama straight away. "Very well then, all three of you are dismissed so you can get back to sleep, but Sasuke, we will be talking to you tomorrow morning about the seal on your neck," the scar-faced Chunin stated, to which Naruto sighed in relief as he wanted some sleep since he had stayed up for the better part of 19 hours in a row. Talking with his former sensei for Naruto was a weird experience, as he realized that the man, if he wanted to could have trained him much better as a ninja considering all the amount of progress that he made by himself and with the slight bit of help from Kakashi compared to the 5 years that he spent in the academy. That left a bad taste in his mouth because Iraka said that he thought of Naruto, not as a demon but as an actual person, but considering his training in his early years at the academy, he doubted that he saw him as a human being then. If only Naruto knew that Iraka had no obligation and did the bare minimum as a teacher, who knew what he would think if he found out that his sensei was his father's student? Having just watched the clinic Sasuke Uchiha put on, Ino was broken out of her reverie, thinking about how she had managed to get this far. I am not Sasuke, or Naruto. They are so much further than me. How far have I really come since becoming a ninja? Sakura Haruno vs Ino Yamanaka. The announcer called out. Her head shot up and she immediately found her former best friend and locked eyes. They could both read one another. They both knew how important this was. With resolute determination, she knew she couldn't lose. She had the reputation of her clan behind her as the clan heir. Ino knew that her father would be disappointed if she lost to Sakura. Most importantly, she would be disappointed if she lost to Sakura. She was the one that came from the clan, she was the one that had access to resources that Sakura didn't have access to. If she lost, it would say that Sakura had outworked her. That she was the better ninja. Guilty because in that moment, she knew how little she had trained since joining the academy. Focusing on boys, Ino wondered in how much further along she could have been. I need to be better. Seeing Sakura stare back at her with those green eyes, she knew she couldn't lose. Begin. That was a surprising ending, Naruto thought to himself. Initially he expected it to be a draw based on how the two kunoichi fought. I'm surprised that they were that slow. They must not train at all. His eyes were on Ino as she placed her hair back into place as much as she could. He noticed her legs were a little bit wobbly but she made it up the stairs to her team. Meanwhile, for the Yamanaka princess, adrenaline rushed through her body. It was on fire. Despite how fatigued she was, she felt amazing. I did that. I won. I beat Forehead. She shifted her eyes, wondering if her Prince of Darkness Sasuke Uchiha was looking at her with pride. Instead, she was greeted to him absent-mindedly staring at a wall. Disappointed, she started turning back around and saw Naruto glancing at her. At least he noticed the beautiful Ino Yamanaka. With a smile on her face thanks to viewing Naruto looking at her as validation, she turned to her team, all whom were smiling and greeting her for victory. This feels nice. I want more of this feeling. The feeling of having those around you proud of your accomplishments. The next match will be between Neji Hyuga and Shoji Akimichi. Cough. Will the two competitors come down to the ring please? Cough. Let the match between Akimichi Choji and Neji Hyuga begin. Hey, called out before he jumped back to allow the two genin ninjas to duke it out, although pretty much everyone, including Asuma, knew that it was going to be a fairly one-sided affair with the Hyuga boy coming out on top easily. But this was something that Choji did not know, and as the saying goes, ignorance is bliss, and this was something that was affecting Choji to the highest degree as he had a large smile on his face as he started thinking about the food that Asuma-sensei was going to give him. While the Akimichi clan heir was all happy fun until the moment that the member of the Hyuga branch clan opened his mouth and used it to good effect. It is fate that you are going to lose, just like it was fate that you were going to be ridiculed all of your life for being fat. Neji stated with a blank look on his face. I'm not fat. I'm pleasantly plump. Choji angrily called out as he placed his hands in a hand seal familiar to all members of the Akimichi clan and used one of the two jutsus that he knew. Akimichi clan secret jutsu, human bullet tank jutsu. Choji called out before he shot out at Neji, intending to make him eat the words he had just said. Activating his Byakugan Dojutsu, Neji realized that it would be hard to attack the Tenketsu whilst the Akimichi was rolling. Fueled by anger, Choji accidentally ran into a wall when trying to hurt his enemy. Neji used this time to strike. Striking the Tenketsu points, Neji prevented Choji from channeling chakra throughout his body. Given his enlarged size, it caused problems. From the outside it looked like nothing was wrong, yet Choji screamed out in pain, crying at the top of his lungs. Quickly, the fight was over and the Akimichi was being rushed to hospital. Having just watched Hinata defeat her opponent Nisumi, Guy was animated due to the fights. Yash Kakashi, my eternal rival, it has been chosen that one of our students will do battle with each other and I propose a bet. The man that spoke about the springtime of youth shouted as he was a highly competitive man and wanted to beat Kakashi. Now whilst Kakashi was a normally calm man who didn't have anything get underneath his nerve, his rivalry with Guy was one thing that always did get Kakashi's blood flowing as he wanted to discreetly prove that he was better than the wacko beside of him. Not even bothering to turn his head away from the book in which a woman named Asuko was getting it on with a man called Seishi. "What are the stakes, Guy?" Kakashi questioned to his friend, although he wouldn't call him that in public. Since this was the first time that the second-generation rivalry between Guy and Kakashi, the man in green thought that this bet needed stakes that were truly worthy for the special occasion since it was a battle with a lot at stake no less. Proudly speaking, Guy boasted so that everyone could hear what the bet was going to be about. "Kakashi, my eternal rival, if I win, you must stop reading Ika Ika as well as not wearing a mask around your face for a whole entire year." Guy proudly proclaimed to the man he was confident he was going to beat thanks to the skill that Tenten had. Dead silence hung in the air as this was something that all of the people from Konoha and even the elder members of allied villages dropped their mouths open in shock. Only did they realize the severity about what was going to happen soon and the severity of what Guy had just said. Both male members of the Sarutobi clan, they just guffawed as they couldn't believe what Guy had just said because from what they knew, right now, this was as serious as when Minato sealed the Kyuubi inside of Naruto and when the Uchiha clan tried to revolt and start a coup d'etat. Even Anko and Karinai, this was something that they couldn't be happier about as both of them being women, they wanted for Kakashi to get rid of that damned book. The mystery of what was behind the mask every woman wanted to know. Kakashi, on the other hand, was doing the mental math. Well, I am sure that Guy got the mirroring version of my team, so that means that Tenten is the Kunoichi of the year for her class, so Guy must be confident with her as well as the fact that he has been able to train her for over a year. On the flip side of things, Guy must think that Naruto is the dead last of the class and that this will be a fairly easy win since I have only had 5 months to get Naruto into a decent genin. What he doesn't know is that Naruto is already at Chunin level. Fine, I will go along with this because I know that Naruto will win, even if it does come down to it, he has the Kyuubi to back him up. Very well, then I'll agree to it as long as if you lose, you have to stop saying anything related to Youth of Youth itself and stop wearing the green spandex for a whole year. Kakashi replied in a nonchalant tone of voice that betrayed the seriousness of the situation. Now if anyone thought that the stakes on Kakashi's side were bad enough, well, they were beyond speechless as they heard what Kakashi had just said. Both the Sarutobi men had their respective cigarette and pipe fall out of their mouth. What was happening to Asuma and Hiruzen was bad, while then spare a thought for the boy who practically looked up to Guy as if he was his own father and the only role model he had in life had just made a bet with him not wearing green spandex and shouting youth. It was sacrilegious. It was blasphemy. For Anko and Karinai, the only 2 women in the room that were above the rank of Chunin and knew just how bad Guy was when it came to his fashion sense and what his personality like, they were beyond happy as it was definitely a good thing if Guy stopped wearing green spandex and stopped shouted about youth. Using chakra to enhance his vocal cords, Kakashi spoke to Naruto who was just about to start his match with Tenten. "Naruto, if you win this fight, I will use all of my influence as former ANBU captain and as possible candidate for the position of Hokage. I can make it so that you have a lot more missions to Kyuzugakure so that you can see someone special. If you lose, however, I can assure you, you will never get a mission to the land of grass again," Kakashi said with a bit of killer intent thrown the way of Naruto, who only nodded and had a determined look on his face. "Kakashi-sensei, how badly do you want to beat her? Do you want me to utterly humiliate her or just do enough to win?" Naruto questioned to his sensei, who smiled as he liked the confidence that Naruto had. Tenten for her part was furious that she was just immediately cast aside in the conversation that Naruto was having with his sensei. "That little runt thinks he will beat me. He's a dead last. He doesn't have a chance in hell. Just do enough so that it's clear that I'm a better sensei than what Guy is, okay?" Kakashi questioned, to which Naruto nodded and turned his attention back to his opponent Tenten. Right, let the match between Naruto Uzumaki and Tenten Higurashi begin. Hey-8 called out not because he wanted to see the match and who it would be who won but because of the fact that who would subsequently lose the bet. Still annoyed at Naruto thinking that he had a chance of winning, despite being younger Tenten threw some shuriken his way. Progressively, she started throwing more and more instruments of death. Yet, Naruto would merely dodge with the smallest of margins. He was doing push-ups, jumping jacks, all with an impassive look on his face. He's not taking me seriously. Holding onto the summoning scrolls in her hands, Tenten launched herself into the air so that she could use her best move against Naruto, one which wouldn't allow him to dodge. Opening the scrolls, Tenten shouted out the name of her technique, Twin Rising Dragons. As she picked out every weapon that she could get her hand on as soon as possible and threw it as fast as possible towards the blonde-haired boy. With Guy. Being the type of man that he was, it was paramount for Guy to start trash-talking in the polite yet smug tone. Despite Naruto-kun's impressive speed, there is no way that he can dodge the youthful attack of Tenten-chan. Her youthfulness will beat the hip and cool attitude of Naruto. Guy proclaimed as like. Everyone else, including Orochimaru and Hiruzen, thought that Naruto was going to lose as there was no way that he would be able to dodge all of the incoming weapons. But for Kakashi Hatake, who knew what element Naruto had, he knew that Naruto didn't have to dodge the weapons coming at him. Deciding to be quiet now as it would make Guy more confident, which would, in the end, make the victory all the more sweeter, Kakashi for once took his eyes out of his book as he wanted to use his Sharingan and remember for life the look of slow realization and horror on Guy's face as he watched Naruto beat his student. With Naruto seeing that his opponent was in just as much of a predicament as he was because of the fact that she couldn't move and was a sitting duck up in the air, Naruto quickly decided on how he was going to finish this and made the appropriate actions to do that. Going through some hand seals, Naruto and thrusted his hands together whilst calling out the name of his jutsu. Futun, Daitapa, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough. Sending a powerful gust of wind right at Tenten, one so powerful that it sent all of the weapons that she had thrown at Naruto right back at her. With Kakashi. Right now at the moment, the infamous Mirror Ninja was having the time of his life as his Sharingan was recording the slowly changing facial expressions on the face of his eternal rival as the man realized that Naruto knew a jutsu that was the perfect countermeasure for all of the techniques that his student knew. The look of pure horror and realization that he was going to have to give up his pride and joy green spandex training suit as well as stop shouting about how youthful everything was something that, to Kakashi, nobody could have paid enough money to make this happen, and he was thankful for Naruto's change in personality. With Tenten. Seeing that all of the weapons that she had thrown at the boy were coming right back at her with an even faster pace than what she threw them at, the pink blouse-wearing Kunoichi had little time to react as she protected the vital parts to her body and hoped for the best. Sadly for her, that was not going to end well for her as she received multiple cuts along her legs, with one being enough to rip her left leg's pants from the knee down completely off. The other weapons hit her in the arms and her thighs as she did her best to protect herself against her own attack. If she thought things couldn't get any worse, well then she was wrong, because Naruto had seen the predicament that she was in and decided that right now was the moment that he was going to go in for the kill. The way how the Uzumaki boy did that was to jump up into the air thanks to some chakra sent to his legs and go through the hand seals of his most powerful and trump card jutsu. When Naruto was only a meter or so away from Tenten, the boy called out the name of the jutsu, inhaled the appropriate amount of air and let loose the jutsu. Futun, Renkuden, Wind Release, Drilling Air Bullet Jutsu. Everyone in the room watched with mixed emotions at how the ball of compressed bladed air was sent directly at Tenten, who took the full brunt of the attack, getting a nasty scrape along her ankle, to which she promptly screamed out in pain and got carried away into the wall, where she hit her head and went into the land of unconsciousness. Even Hey-8 smirked, knowing what this meant for Guy. The winner of this match is Naruto Uzumaki. Hey-8 called out to the crowd, which received a round of applause as all the Jonin barring Orochimaru in disguise and Madogai were impressed with what Naruto had just displayed. Despite having watched his student lose, Guy was more concerned with the fact that he had lost the bet, so much so that he was ramrod still, and the only way how he made a movement of his body was when Kakashi called out to him. So Guy, that was the springtime of youth, wasn't it? It was just so youthful it makes you want to wear green spandex constantly, doesn't it? The only response that Guy gave to his eternal rival was to drop to the ground in a faint, but not before saying one last thing. Damn you Kakashi with your hip and cool attitude, it makes me so mad. Everyone from this group was incredibly shocked as they had definitely not expected the performance that Naruto had just given, as in comparison from where he was less than 6 months ago. He couldn't even make a henge jutsu, and yet now he could pull off B-ranked elemental ninjutsu? How had Naruto improved so much in this short turnaround? The one that was racking their brain the most was Shikamaru, the boy from the clan that more often than not produced intellectual geniuses that could solve anything and everything, was having trouble trying to put the pieces of the puzzle which was Naruto's shinobi skills, and he just couldn't do it. Is Kakashi-sensei that good of a teacher that he can turn someone like Naruto, who was the dead last of the class, and turn him into someone that could rival Kiba and Sasuke? I mean, sure, Asuma-sensei was mentioning about how good of a shinobi Kakashi was, but to think that Naruto could improve this much in such a short time, oh well, this is troublesome. Kiba was also thinking along these lines, as he just couldn't believe that the dead last had gotten so strong in a short amount of time. How did the dope get so good so quickly? He was crap in the academy and it took him over 3 years to learn the henge and replacement, and yet now he can pull off all of those cool jutsus like it was nothing. Is Kakashi-sensei, the guy who mom was talking about as who she wanted to be my sensei, is he really that good? In the end though, what Kiba had just seen was something that he couldn't readily believe and put it down to just being a fluke and nothing worth racking his brain over. Not only was it that all of the rookie 9 were taking an incredible interest in all of the skills that Naruto had just shown, but this was also a sentiment that was shared by both of the Jonin sensei who took on a team from Naruto's year. Asuma for his part was beyond impressed with how well Naruto could control his apparent wind element. The more pragmatic sensei, Karin, was concerned. How could Naruto change so much as a person in such a short space of time? What had caused it, and how much further was Naruto going to change? Within minutes, the fight between Kankuro Sabaku and Kiba Inuzuka took place. Throwing a smoke bomb on the ground right in front of Kankuro, Kiba, the heir of the Inuzuka clan, and his trusty partner by his side as the duo double-teamed the ninja with the weird wrappings on his back. He jumped out of the smoke, with it obscuring his vision. The one thing that Kankuro noticed when he came out of the smoke was that there was a white dog that was latched hard onto his arm. Thinking that it was the puppet and not his actual flesh, which would be quite painful, Kankuro used his chakra threads which were attached to his puppet to rapidly change their hands, which caught Akamaru in a trap hold, with the other hand of the puppet had a hole in his hand in which a blade pooped out and dripped poison, making Akamaru whimper since he didn't want to die. "You might want to give up, kid, or otherwise your friend here will die," Kankuro stated to the canine-based ninja, who could only growl as he tried to think of a way to get out of this dicey situation, and it was then that the member of the Inuzuka clan realized that he did have a way to get Akamaru out of the situation he was in, and what that involved was a soldier pill. Pulling one out of his pocket, Kiba flicked the soldier pill in the direction of Akamaru, to which the puppy obliged his master with a thankful yelp and swallowed the pill, which made the fur on the dog turn from white to vibrant red in a matter of seconds. The thing was though, had this been some kind of clone which weren't as tough, the dog would have been able to break through all of restraints holding Akamaru back, but because it was a puppet which was made of much stronger materials meant that the dog couldn't break out of his hold. What he did do though was force Kankuro out of the bandages that he wrapped himself in, which made everyone realize that the real Kankuro was a ninja who was a puppet jutsu user, and that the thing holding Akamaru was actually a puppet. This was proven true as the puppet's paint and design, which made the thing look like Kankuro himself, started to chip away and reveal the wooden doll underneath. Seeing that he had just dodged a bullet there, from there on Kankuro made the split-second decision in that he wouldn't take any more chances with this match and decided to go in for the kill on the puppy, which would make the match much easier since it would then be one-on-one. Panic set in, all possible scenarios filtering through his mind in that moment. "Akamaru," Kiba quickly called out, as he didn't want his best friend to die. "Wait, I'll forfeit as long as you promise to let Akamaru go." Kiba called out to his enemy, who stopped the poison blade that was aimed directly at the red dog and turned his head to Kiba to see whether or not he would actually go through with it and forfeit. Giving a nod of the head, Kiba sighed in relief, as he didn't know what he would have done without Akamaru right by his side. Kiba spoke up to Hey-8. "Alright then, Proctor, I give up," Kiba said with a reluctant sigh as he spoke to Hey-8 before then changing to Kankuro so that he could get Akamaru back. "Now, hand over Akamaru," Kiba said in a not-so-nice tone, as he hated having to forfeit but in the end decided that it was for the best, and that if he had this chance another time, he would do exactly what he had just done time and time again. Having had his sister humiliated by that Konoha genin, Kankuro decided that he wanted to get back some pride for Sunagakure and replied in a fashion that broadcasted his thoughts. "Nah, I don't think I will. Little boy, didn't they ever teach you that lying is a core part of being a shinobi?" The middle child of the current Kazekage questioned in a rhetorical tone of voice before turning his head back down to the dog in his puppet's arms that was struggling trying to get free. With a flick of the wrists and a little bit of added chakra, the blade that was in the puppet came out a rather slow speed as Kankuro wanted to toy with the emotions of Kiba, but before the blade could connect with the fur of the dog, there was a sort of some kind that was blocking the blade, and then realized that the proctor of the match was holding his blade so that the sword couldn't make contact with Akamaru. The winner of this match is Kankuro Sabaku by his opponent forfeiting. There is no need to cause unnecessary death. Height quietly stated before using some chakra in combination with his sword to push the puppet away and break the hold that the Sannin had on the canine. "I suggest you go back to your sensei, San Ninja, as your match is now over." Height stated, to which Kankuro obliged and walked up the stairs to his sensei, older sister, and younger brother. Not wanting to cause any more trouble as the incident that he had just created with the attempted killing of one the Inuzuka clan heir's ninja dog partner, Kankuro just walked up to where his team was and waited for the Sandaime Hokage to speak up, as there was only one competitor left. Before that could happen though, both Baki and Temari congratulated the middle child of the current Kazekage on his good performance in the match, although Baki was saying that it would have been great if he had not given away that he was a puppeteer. Naruto Uzumaki vs Shikamaru Nara. Shino Aburame vs Kankuro Sabaku. Niji Hyuga vs Hinata Hyuga. Ino Yamanaka vs Temari Sabaku. Sasuke Uchiha vs Gaara Sabaku. These were the matches that had been decided. They were also going to take place in a month. Well then, you're free to start strategizing or resting depending on what you like. With this, I will dismiss you all unless some of you have any questions? Hiruzen asked to the Chunin hopefuls in front of him who were tired from their matches. There was indeed one kid who had a question for the Sandaime Hokage, and it was ironic as that person was the smartest person inside the room was asking for an answer. Since this is a tournament, it would mean that there is only one winner, right? That would mean that only one person can become a Chunin, right? Shikamaru questioned, as what he had deduced made it seem awfully hard to get the rank of Chunin and just made him think that it wasn't worth the effort. Realizing that Shikamaru was right in his assumptions, the Hokage of Konoha decided to correct him. "No, that's not quite right. There will be numerous judges, including but not limited to me, the Kazekage, and other various lords of minor towns and lands, who will be deciding whether or not you have the necessary qualifications to obtain the rank of Chunin. Everyone has the possibility of becoming a Chunin even if they lose their first match. As long as they show the skills needed of becoming a Chunin, they will obtain the rank. The only point of winning matches is to have more chances of showing off that you're Chunin ninja material, as well as the prize money that comes with winning." Hiruzen lectured to the genin in front of him. It was at that time in the conversation that Naruto Uzumaki popped up. "That means that there is a possibility of everyone becoming a Chunin, right?" the sun-kissed blonde-haired boy questioned. Impressed at the logical reasoning coming from his favorite genin, Hiruzen nodded. "Yes, but there is also the possibility that none of you will become a Chunin," Hiruzen stated in a serious tone, which made all of the genin in front of him take notice. "Well then, thanks for all of the inspiring performances. The effort you exerted will make your village proud to have you among their forces. You are all dismissed until a month from now," Hiruzen said before he disappeared. For Naruto, he might have stayed back with his teammates if the only person in the team that he liked who was his sensei was there, but because of the fact that Orochimaru did something to Sasuke during the forest, Naruto knew that Sasuke was going to get a checkup at the hospital and needed to have Kakashi there to guard him in case Orochimaru would try something again. Spurred by the adrenaline rush, having defeated her rival, Ino was on a high. "I love the feeling of winning, but now I have to fight Temari." Had she had time to question why that was, she would come to the conclusion that she was used to people telling her how great she was. This was mostly due to being a clan heir of a prestigious clan and having a lot of boys interested in her. Having people validate her skills though, she could see the future, having a legion of fans and people worshipping the ground she walked on. Temari though, was a massive step up. She had seen the damage the kunoichi was capable of creating. Those wind gusts were devastatingly powerful. If Ino Yamanaka was going to be able to continue these feelings, she was going to have to step up her game hard. The worst part out of all of this though was that no one believed in her or her abilities. Shikamura had outright called for her to forfeit, and Asuma-sensei had a look on her face that basically said I agree. Sure, she knew that she had laxed in her previous training as a ninja, but that was going to change. She was Ino motherfucking Yamanaka. She was the clan heir to the prestigious Yamanaka clan, famed for being able to control the mind like no other. On that stage, in front of thousands of people, there was no chance she was going to embarrass her family and be a laughingstock. Naruto! Wait up! Ino Yamanaka called out, rushing over to her fellow blonde. What better way to improve than to ask the person who she had witnessed grow leaps and bounds how they did it? Turning around, Naruto was greeted with the sight of Ino Yamanaka chasing after him. They were on the roof of a random, nondescript village. What does Ino want with me? It was kind of cool watching you in the forest. You've grown a lot in the past 5 months. She mentioned, freely giving him a compliment that she didn't think too much on. As much as he tried to hide the blush, he couldn't. He wasn't used to getting compliments. For years he had tried to get any sort of affection from Sakura and he got physically abused instead. Why is it that one compliment makes me blush? Probably because I am not used to them. Thanks, what did you want? Naruto questioned, avoiding talking about her performance. She won, but it wasn't all that impressive. Still, he didn't think at all she would cut her hair, and the chakra control to balance multiple jutsu at the same time was impressive. On second thought, she put in an okay performance. I wanted to ask you how you got so much better recently. I want to take my training seriously. I want to become a strong ninja like you. Once more, standing there was a blushing Naruto Uzumaki. He had never received compliments on his abilities as a ninja. Getting two in such a short space of time was overwhelming. Train hard. Train until you think you can't anymore and then train some more. Train lots of different things to reduce your weaknesses, but also have a specialty that can take you to Chunin. Ino closed the distance between the two. They were standing a meter apart. Naruto wasn't used to being this close to a girl that wasn't Sakura. We should train together sometime. I scratch your back, you rub mine. Ino smirked as she suggested this. Unlike her former crush Sasuke Uchiha, she would get no response out of him when she offered herself to him on a silver platter. Naruto though, she got the blushing, the stammering with his words, and the overall speechless look. Damn right I'm hot. I was going crazy for a while there. Sure. The Uzumaki genin responded, a bit baffled by what was going on. Getting attention was all he ever dreamed of, and now he was getting it. He had no idea how to receive it. Thank you, Naruto. This is going to help me a lot. She giggled as she came up to kiss him on the cheek, leaving him speechless. She had seen just how much Naruto trained and knew that she wanted to get to the bottom of Blondie. A new sensation ran through his body, fueled by hormones. He wouldn't be able to get the image of Ino Yamanaka for the rest of the night. After what seemed like forever, Naruto got back to his apartment and lay on his bed. I get to join the Snake Clan. I get to join the fucking Snake Clan. Naruto thought to himself excitedly. Here he had spent the past 5 months giving it his all, making himself into the perfect representative for their clan. Good afternoon, Naruto-kun. The female snake hissed. From the first time since meeting Shikudo, Naruto was not afraid. Instead, he was giddy. She was the chance he finally had to get a family. They weren't human, but that didn't matter. They were his and he was going to make them proud. Good afternoon, Shikudo. Slithering her way over to Naruto's body, Shikudo wrapped her form around Naruto and told him to close his eyes as she was doing something that would allow him to train in complete privacy for the month. The last thing that was said in the room of Naruto was sealing arts, reverse summoning jutsu. Opening his eyes right after he got the all clear from Shikudo, Naruto looked around in awe. He didn't exactly know what to expect, but this place was cool. Naruto, this place is called Intimayo Bushi, which is the place that all members of the Snake Clan live. This place will be your new home for the next month. Shikuto lectured as she knew that Naruto was new to this place and would not know a thing about it. As they made their way around the place, Shikuto started speaking. As they went through the mountainous region, Shikuto listed off various different areas of the Snake Kingdom what their specialties were. For now though, what we will be doing is going to see the leader of the clan, my father, who wants to meet the newest member of the Snake Clan. The princess of the Snake Clan stated, to which Naruto could only nod as he didn't know what to expect. The only thing he was sure about was that he was highly nervous. Daddy. I need you to train me, and I don't want the same old bullshit training to be an interrogator. I'm a boss lady and I want to be a frontline fighter. She called out from her room, putting the final touches to her outfit. She was wearing a matching pair of dark purple yoga pants and a yoga crop top. It was two-tone with lilac accents. Look good, feel good, perform good. It was the motto she had lived by, and it had gotten her this far already. The real reason was that she didn't have a choice. She was going up against the eldest of the Kazekage's children, and if she managed to win that, she would be going up against the youngest. The odds were definitely not in her favor. She was not going to be able to cut her hair again for the element of surprise, and she doubted Temari would stand still and cop her jutsu to the face. She was going to have to drastically increase her fighting capabilities if she was going to have a chance of surviving, let alone winning any of her fights. Okay, princess, I'll be in the backyard in a second. Making her way down the stairs from her room, she tidied up the last remaining things on the table from breakfast. Right, let's get started. We don't have much time, so we're going to have to take some shortcuts. Ino didn't mind hearing the word shortcuts, as long as they worked. First thing first, we're going to be fighting on top of the water. Inoichi stated, pulling out two kunai and loosely chucking it towards his daughter. She grimaced whilst catching it, having only just heard about water walking, yet having not done it yet. Guess I better learn quick. After having been taken to a bed which was of higher class than anything else that he had slept in before, Naruto relished the fact that the Snake Clan was a civil and high society clan. He got to experience the finer things in life, such as an already made bed with a duvet and a comfortable mattress. He almost didn't want to get up. The excitement of his first day of training though was enough to get him out of bed. Before he could officially start the training though, Naruto needed to sign the contract in blood. Whilst looking over the contract, he noticed that he was going to be only the 8th person to sign the contract. Damn, they don't let just anyone sign the contract. It filled him with yet another burst of pride, that they chose him. Now before you can begin your training, you are going to have to visit Nagini, deep in the inner sanctum of the Hibi clan, and get a medical done. As much as Naruto wanted to protest against the words of Manda, he knew that he had no right to come in here disobeying orders. Trudging along, he kicked off the process, which would take 4 hours. In front of Manda, the trio listed over all the benefits, which basically amounted to having a stronger immune system due to having the Kyuubi's chakra running through him, having a more efficient body. The part that Naruto was most concerned about though, was when Nagini started going into how to augment his skills as a ninja and get the most out of him. For Naruto Uzumaki, he was quite nervous having all of his shinobi skills laid out there in the open, as he wasn't sure whether he was good enough to be a member of the clan. He could obviously become a great swordsman with the combination of his wind affinity with a single-bladed chikuto, considering his size and flexibility, with a cylindrical grip which would promote major flexibility in the attacks that he would be able to pull off without a guard, which would decrease the weight of the sword so that it would decrease weight, allowing him to move faster during combat. I can see Naruto here becoming a shinobi who favors speed rather than power, as he can use his elemental affinity to create a great attacking base for him to launch his future kenjutsu and our other snake arts. Nagini stated as not only was she the head of the White Snake branch, but she was also Manda's advisor on decisions and was telling him how to prepare the things that Naruto needed for his training. Judging by the amount of information in his nervous system about muscle memory, it shows me that the only taijutsu style that Naruto has is the Academy taijutsu style. At this point, Nagini saw the nervous look on the face of Naruto and decided that it would be good to ease his worries. Don't worry Naruto-kun, the academy style is a taijutsu style which is a necessary evil for students without an alternative style, and it is a style that is meant for branching out and learning better styles later on, which means that you should learn our kenjutsu fairly quickly. The elder snake stated in a kind tone which she hoped eased Naruto's conscience. Despite his recent improvements, Naruto still needs to bulk up a bit more, being a bit underweight for his age. It's no doubt that having the fox inside of him requires much higher amounts of food to fuel his body. It was a little while later, as Manda was busily writing down the finer points of Naruto's training. When he was done, he asked for Nagini to take Naruto down to the rattlesnake branches to get him started on the initiation process of becoming a member of the Snake Clan. Obliging to her boss, Nagini took the blonde-haired boy with her as she went down to where the daughter of the clan king lived so that they could get Naruto officially a part of the Snake Clan. The way that they were going to do this was by getting Naruto to get the customary tattoo on the inside of his right arm embedded with his blood, chakra and chakra from the princess of all snakes to make a truly binding contract. She has phenomenal chakra control. I had to work so hard for the control that she just naturally has. Inoichi said in a mental link to his wife. She could hear the pride evident in his voice. In the space of a 10-minute fight, she had managed to pick up walking on water. All it took was 5 steps to get the hang of balancing on the water without any distractions. Then she fell. Inoichi was right on her with speed which was slightly above what the average Chunin had, and he punched her right in the stomach. There was no chance of avoiding it. Face down in the water, Ino coughed up some water before getting up with her hands on the surface of the lake in their backyard. Wet hair fell over her face. With frustration, she flicked it back up in the air and behind her. Inoichi lowered the speed and attacked her at the top speed in which Ino could move. This time she managed to take 2 steps back to dodge the attack, although she stumbled and fell into the water again. Ugh! She screamed. Normally I get everything I want without having to work. Is this what the others are doing day in and day out? She questioned to herself. If this is what the Gaaras, the Nijis, and the Narutos of the world were doing, then she was going to do it too. Each time her father went to punch or kick Ino, she leapt out of the way to avoid the attack. 4 times. That's all it took before she managed to keep standing. She stumbled but remained upright. She unleashed a smirk at her father, showing him that she wasn't going to take this lightly. Keep up the great work, honey. You're doing a fantastic job. Inoichi called out with pride. Maybe my daughter is going well in the exams? The first day had passed. Once they got down to training, Naruto fondly remembered that he completed his first training session to the best of his abilities. He was sure that the familiarity of holding a wooden sword would come shortly. At the moment, it was the main thing he was practicing. They had told him how dangerous he was going to be with the blade when he eventually combined it with his wind element. Plus, who doesn't like a cool-ass sword? With the second day almost coming to a close as well, Naruto headed where Shikudo happened to be. For the final part left required to be officially recognized as a member of the Snake Clan, Naruto needed a tattoo. In that, he had 2 options. On one end of the spectrum he could get the bare bones basic tattoo, the same one Orochimaru got. It was about palm size and would go on the inside of the forearm. On the other side, Naruto was able to get any tattoo that he wanted, and the seal which allowed him to summon snakes would be woven into the piece. Being a kid and a kid that had never been around adults, there was no one to tell Naruto it was a bad idea to get a tattoo. Unlike in some of the other more progressive places in the elemental nations, Konoha and the Greater Fire Country did not look favorably on body modification outside of piercings. Tattoos were the unofficial signature of being in a gang. Naruto did not know that. He did not know that the older generation would judge him for having tattoos. Not that it was any different from what he had previously experienced. Instead, all that was running through his mind was, "This is fucking cool." Now Naruto, have you thought about what design you would like to get? A tattoo is a permanent decision. Shikudo warned the newest summoner, who nodded. He was happy to show off that he was a member of the Snake Clan. Eventually, the Uzumaki decided on getting what the blonde-haired boy had decided was that he was going to have a coiling cobra that covered every inch of his arm. Overlapping the cobra was vines, as if it was slithering through the grassy plains. When the tattoo got to the lower shoulder, it was here that the design changed. As the tattoo reached the shoulder, its snake head formed over his shoulder and over his pec. You could see dripping poison coming from the exposed fangs. All in all, Naruto was fairly proud of the design he had chosen. Shikuto would be using black, silver, white, purple, red and green for the colors in the tattoo. Seeing the creativity that Naruto had, she spoke up. Naruto, they always say that ninjas should always have hobbies outside of fighting to keep them mentally healthy. Have you thought of doing this? She questioned, which gave the blonde a lot to think about as he sat down in one place for 8 hours. Having made it out of the Chunin exam's preliminary round, winning her match without the borrowed confidence of her crush did a world of good for increasing the self-worth inside of the Hyuga heiress. For the first time in her life, the shy young girl from the most powerful clan in all of Konoha realized that she didn't actually need to rely on anyone else. She was capable on her own. She could achieve the same goals that she thought were reserved for the people like Naruto. Am I in love with Naruto though? This was the dilemma facing Hinata ever since she had finished her second round Chunin exam fight. Once all of the stress was over from the fight, she was now allowed to sit in her room and think through every detail she learned during the space of a week. The biggest one being that Naruto had changed. He's no longer the same Naruto. He's not as vibrant and full of energy as he was before. Naruto has lost the energy that made him Naruto. He didn't have to challenge himself during his fight. It was getting harder and harder for her to relate the old Naruto that she fell in love with, to the new one she was forced to recognize as the new one. Or is that the Naruto I want him to be? The Naruto that wears his heart on his sleeve and proclaims to the world that he will be the Hokage. That no matter what challenge he faces, he has full confidence in himself. The confidence I want in myself. Do I want to be with Naruto, or do I want to have the confidence he has? She didn't know the answer, but it was something in the back of her mind as she went through each training drill. It was made ever more so present by the lack of her father's presence during her training. When she came back home, proud of how she managed to challenge herself and achieve making it to the second round without the help of Naruto, she thought her father would be happy. Instead, he thought of it as a fluke and was surprised to hear she made it through. She was absolutely crushed for a couple of days. All she wanted to do was gain her father's approval in the absence of her mother, having passed away years ago. I'm never going to be good enough for him, or for the clan. They want me to be their docile punching bag. When she thought of Niji, that was definitely what she knew he wanted her to be. I don't have to take on board his issues out of guilt. I don't have to accept my father. Why is it that the only people felt love from have been my mother and Karin-sensei? Breaking herself out of her musings, Hinata finished her meal before getting back into her training with Karin. She had a jutsu in mind that would be on the same level as the Kaiten. Confidence was at an all-time high for Ino. A week had passed since the first training session she had been having with her father. Out of everything the week had taught her it was achievement-based confidence. In the past, she was all talk. There was little confidence to back up what her mouth was capable of checking. Within the first day of training, she had trained on top of the water, getting the hang of water walking. The second day, she didn't fall in the water once despite her father increasing the speed of his attacks. With an intensity that had never been seen before, Inoichi watched on as Ino went through textbook after textbook on psychology, learning about any and every study done on the brain. From autism, to attachment theories and behavioral therapy. She was reading all of it. Sure, he knew that she was smart, but similarly to Shikamaru, she never really had the desire or application to showcase it. Until now, that is. Her speed had increased, a lot. Only so much of it can be from building muscle, but the main increase came from her chakra control. Ino had tremendous control, similar to Sakura. She was able to increase the speed in which she moved, thanks to chakra. Out of everything though, what Ino was the most proud of, was that she was on the way to completely changing the way she viewed and thought about both her body and food. Now she was no longer trying to achieve the perfect physique, which in her eyes meant eating as little as possible. Now instead, she was fueling her body for the training sessions and recovery. She had so much more energy, which meant she could train for multiple more hours than what she could before. The training sessions of hell that Asuma put her through, she knew she could easily handle them now. It meant she could train more frequently throughout the day and have more intensity when she trained. It also allowed her to think more clearly when reading academic textbook after academic textbook. It all resulted in Ino feeling more confident in herself. Not that she needed it. She already had it in spades. Heading over to Training Ground 7, she saw that Naruto was there already. The keen eye would spot a couple of leaves in his hands. "Hey Blondie," Ino mentioned as she walked over to Naruto. Said blonde-haired boy looked up at her dryly. "You're blonde too." "Yeah, but I am a platinum blonde, you're a more vibrant blonde." It didn't really make sense to Naruto, but it didn't have to. "Girls. So how's your training been going, Ino?" Naruto questioned if he really wanted to be here. She was loud, she was bossy, but she wasn't. Sakura and Karin had left back to her village. It was nice for a girl to ask him out, even if it wasn't a date after all the times he asked Sakura and got nothing. That, and more importantly, he didn't have any idea about how to have a conversation regarding anything other than ramen or jutsus. "It's going good. I've been training really hard," she said with a smirk on her face. "No one is going to know what hit them. I've really been training my chakra control and reserves." "That doesn't really give me anything. Isn't everyone training their chakra control and reserves?" Naruto questioned. Ino giggled, then she walked over to Naruto and planted a kiss on his lips. His face went red in seconds and he immediately relished her taste. "She tastes different from Karin and I don't have to worry about her being my cousin." Just as Naruto felt the blood rushing south, the connection was cut and the genjutsu died. Ino did not in fact kiss him. She was still standing about a meter away from him. That was a genjutsu. Naruto thought to himself, alarmed for a multitude of reasons. In one small motion, with a single one-handed seal, Ino had managed to cast a genjutsu on the unsuspecting male and planted a desire in his head. "Damn, she is going to become scary." "You right there, Naruto?" Ino questioned with a Cheshire cat grin. She was grinning internally. She had learned so much about kissing, and here Naruto proved that he would be down to explore with her. It also showed how limited Naruto was when it came to recognizing and dispelling genjutsu, something both of them realized. When he looked at her this time round, there was something different about how he was looking at her. Respect, they both knew what it was. Ino was over the moon about getting respect over her ninja abilities. She never got compliments on her skills as a ninja. Naruto didn't even compliment her. He didn't have to. In that one moment, the Yamanaka princess showed how she could have easily killed Naruto and yet chose not to. So now that we have that out of the way, how has your training been going, Naruto? Why does she do that? Naruto questioned to himself. Ever since that kiss, it was running rampant through his mind. Anytime he wasn't training, he was thinking about that genjutsu felt. It was the perfect distraction to focus on. It beat all the usual ones like why did he get the QB sealed inside of him, who were his parents and his personal favorite, what was going to happen to Team 7 after these exams. With his blade in hand, Naruto tried channeling chakra through it. He marveled at the sheen that came off. The nature training is paying off. He thought to himself, proud that he managed to cut the leaf. Now he was on to cutting more and more varied objects with the chakra. Placing the blade back down on the ground, Naruto went back to the main training he was doing for the day. Hand seals. It sounded boring, but he knew it was crucial. Every time he tried fighting Manda or Shakudo, even whenever he tried to do the seals of his jutsu, they interrupted him, forcing him on the defensive. Quickly he realized the importance of the speed in which he could do hand seals. What was the point of knowing jutsu if he couldn't fire them off quickly? He had even heard the rumblings of one-handed jutsus, which would mean he could hold his sword and fire off ninjutsu at the same time. The first jutsu that Naruto learned was the hidden shadow snake hands, which was a jutsu that sent a few snakes from the sleeve which attacked the enemy in a straight and singular motion. The jutsu that Naruto had found to learn was the summoning jutsu. Fang Pursuit Jutsu. This was a jutsu that was similar to the stock standard summoning technique in that the only difference was the summon animal, but this used the snake's natural methods of detection to find their prey and appear from the ground and in surprise attack and use their poisonous fangs to either kill or paralyze their enemy. Once he had the basics down of the Snake Clan jutsus, Naruto had a feeling he was going to need a bit more firepower, rather than just precision. In Kamen Release, Pressure was a jutsu that compressed the futon chakra to the highest degree and launched it towards the enemy and unleashed the jutsu. Tanto in hand, Ino swiped forward intent with causing her father damage. They were fighting on top of the water's surface, developing her chakra reserves, katas, and even trying to increase Ino's speed when attacking. When she wasn't doing this, she was training her body, building the muscles to carry her in her ninja career. And when she was done with all the physical, there she was, sitting on the edge of the water, deep in focus practicing her jutsu, ever intent on mastering the famed skill of one-handed ninjutsu. Watching on, Inoichi couldn't be prouder of his girl. She has come a tremendous amount in such a small space of time. It was 2 weeks into the training and admittedly, he had reservations about his daughter competing in the final round of the Chunin exams. Whilst she was very intelligent, she didn't really have the drive or abilities to compete on the grandest stage. Yet, right there in front of him, it was as if he was looking at a changed girl. She was spending 6 hours a day training. He really hoped that she got to showcase all of the hard work that she had been putting in. "Daddy, I'm off," Ino called out, breaking Inoichi out of his reverie. She had packed up everything around her and placed it on the table under the awning. Within seconds, she was running off towards where Naruto was. Making her way from the clan compound towards the training ground, she found herself excited. All it had taken to make her excited was seeing one training session that Naruto put on. There she was, watching the effort he put into his wind ninjutsu and katas with the sword for her to realize just how much she herself was capable of putting into her training. The first time they sparred with swords, Ino was thrown at just how much of a difference there was in the skill they both started learning at the same time. He was faster, stronger and more elegant with his strikes than she was. Just how much time is he putting into his training? Even when she arrived at the training ground, she found Naruto working through his katas yet again. Oh boy, Naruto's gotten hot. I could run my hands through that shaggy blonde hair. What's that? Ino questioned to herself as her gaze quickly narrowed when she saw the color seeping out of the shirt. Does Naruto have a tattoo? Rushing forward on impulse, Ino yelled out. Naruto, since when did you have a tattoo? Aren't you afraid people are going to judge you? Unlike the Uzumaki, Ino was very much aware of how a tattoo can change someone's standing in society. They were viewed negatively for a reason. How's that different from normal? He replied back, throwing Ino for a moment. Nah, this is a tattoo to symbolize the new clan I signed with. As much as Naruto wanted to keep it under wraps for the final, he was very excited to talk about it. Plus, it's been nice to hang out with Ino. Hopefully, she accepts this. If she didn't, well, it told him that he shouldn't tell her anything else. What do you mean your new clan? I thought you were already a part of the Uzumaki clan, she questioned with a frown, wondering what Naruto was talking about. Huh, what do you mean about the Uzumaki clan? Naruto asked with barely restrained urgency. Admittedly, when he spoke to Karin, she had mentioned that she was also had the same last name, but then he got sidetracked with everything regarding the Chunin exams to look into it. Long repressed feelings were threatening to bubble over the surface. Whenever he had asked the Sandaime Hokage about his family, all the man had said was that they had passed away the night of the attack and there were no more family members left. He would have given everything to find out something about his family. Yeah, there is a clan called the Uzumaki clan. They were kind of related to the Senju clan, I think. She mentioned, unaware of the turmoil Naruto was going through. Didn't he pay attention in school when they taught this? In addition to it being taught in the academy, Ino also had a responsibility to know, due to her status as a clan heir. Immediately, Naruto created 3 clones and informed them to go to the library, under the orders of picking up every bit of information he could on his potential family.
No, I didn't know anything. The anger was seeping out, although it was not directed at Ino.
It was directed at himself. Not liking the thoughts running through his mind regarding the old man and feeling betrayed, even if he technically didn't lie, Naruto diverted the conversation. The reason why I got the tattoo is because I signed the contract with the Snake Summoning Clan. They are the people that have been helping me train whilst Kakashi has been off training Sasuke. Apprehensive, Ino knew all too well that the last person affiliated with the Snake Clan was none other than Orochimaru. There's no way Naruto would end up like him though, right? As her initial thoughts of hesitation came over her face, Naruto noticed it and frowned.
What made you sign the contract?
A small smile started to appear on the face of Naruto.
I expected her to run away when I told her. I wasn't happy with my training.
It felt like I was going nowhere, and then the snakes came to me, offering to help me train, as long as in the end, I killed Orochimaru because he has ruined their reputation. Naruto replied, trying to justify why he signed with the Snake Clan, not that he had to. As much as he was proud for having joined the clan, there was still a major part of him that wanted to be accepted and acknowledged.
They expect you to kill Orochimaru.
Ino replied with a horrified expression on her face. To think they expect Naruto of all people be able to kill one of the Sannin. Had it been 6 months ago, she would have said it was crazy. However, she had seen the development her blonde counterpart had gone through.
Yeah. He grimaced. Naruto had heard of the horror stories Sakura was telling him about Orochimaru, and he had heard a lot from the Snake Clan. It was going to be a monumental task.
The other reason why I joined them is that they offered me a family, and since I am an orphan, it feels really nice. Immediately, her heart went out to Naruto. He must have been through so much. That's probably why he did all those pranks when we were younger. Why he always was so loud during class. A look of understanding filtered across her face. Whilst she hadn't walked through his shoes, she could only imagine how difficult that must be.
Right, and how happy does it make you feel to be a part of the clan?
She questioned with a small smile on her face. You should have seen the smile that Naruto gave her. It truly warmed her heart and melted her insides.
It's been great, Dadabayo. Naruto exclaimed, then proceeded to get red in the face due to the resurgence of his verbal tic.
He was trying to cut it out but got so excited. That's the Naruto I remember. I don't remember his smile being so infectious. They said I can either get a regular tattoo that had the seal inscribed on it, or you could get one which you designed. Naruto said excitedly, taking off his shirt to show Ino the full piece. Shocked at having a boy take their clothes off in front of her, a small blush littered over her face. Her hand quickly went up to mouth to cover the smile forming. Awe filled the Yamanaka girl's eyes as she looked with focus at the detail in the tattoo.
I've never seen anything like this.
With no words spoken, Ino reached out to Naruto's tattooed arm and lightly traced over the design of the purple cobra tail wrapped around his arm. It sent shivers down his body, forcing a minor gasp from Naruto. As her hand absent-mindedly traced over the design, she had no idea the effect this had on Naruto, especially as she ran her fingers over the pec. It was her first time touching a boy like this, and she was entranced.
Hold on a second.
What am I doing, groping Naruto of all people's pec? Ino internally screamed, horrified at the thought.
Ahem. Ino called out to herself. Blushing as it felt nice, she took a step back.
You mentioned that you were an orphan before. Do you think that is why you pulled all those pranks when you were younger?
To get people to look at you.
Ino questioned, getting the conversation back to things other than how she was tracing Naruto's body with her hands. Still feeling the effects of Ino's incredibly soft fingers on his body, he was in a bit of a daze when he spoke. Yeah, that, and with the QB sealed inside of me, everyone hated me for when all I wanted was to be loved like the other kids at the academy. Right as the moment the words came out of the Uzumaki's mouth, his eyes widened comically.
Fuck, I didn't mean to say that. What do you mean the QB's sealed inside of you? Ino questioned with shock, not really knowing how to process the new information. What? I didn't say anything? Naruto, embarrassed, brought his hand back to his head and rubbed it nervously. Frowning, Ino could see the nerves and anxiety running all through his body. No, you said something about the QB. You can tell me anything, promise. She stated, feeling like she was on the verge of finding out something juicy. The sheer panic that was radiating off of Naruto was concerning. She had never seen him frightened like this before. It didn't fit the image she had of him. He was confident, regardless of the situation. Well, she didn't judge me for the Snake Clan. The 13-year-old Naruto, devoid of affection and socialization, justified to himself. The past 2 weeks with Ino here giving me compliments has been nice. If she leaves after finding this out, it's not like I lost anything. That was what Naruto was telling himself, trying to rationalize it in his mind. The truth was that he was incredibly scared. Never when interacting with Sasuke or Sakura, did Naruto feel like it was a safe space to share this sensitive information. So you can't actually kill a tailed beast, despite what they said during the academy. The only way you can defeat one is to seal it away. He paused to see her reaction. Seeing it slowly dawn on her, it felt prudent to keep talking. I don't know why, but, for whatever reason, the fourth Hokage chose to seal the QB inside of me. With clenched fists and looking at the ground, Naruto didn't want to show his newfound friend his innermost secrets. Anguish marred his face, and in that moment, before Ino spoke up, he felt completely naked. So you're like a giant storage scroll for the QB. Ino responded after thinking about it for a moment. Just by looking at him, she saw a completely different Naruto, one she was confident that neither Sasuke or Sakura had seen. Her intuition was that Naruto hadn't told anyone this yet. So that's why all the adults told us to stay away from him. Daddy never told me to stay away from Naruto, he was just annoying. But that was just because he was a kid who wanted to be a part of the group. He wanted to have friends and family, and he didn't have any role models to tell him right from wrong. Naruto nodded. And all of the older people know, but none of the other people we went to the academy with know, right? She questioned, piecing the puzzle together. Seeing Naruto nod again, she only had question. Why? When I spoke to Gramps, he said it was because he wanted for me to have a normal life. Naruto replied, although he was unconvinced with the answer. That's fucking bullshit. Ino swore loudly, not caring about the profanities coming out of her mouth. As if you had a fucking normal childhood. Getting another opinion to validate his thoughts reassured Naruto that his feelings were valid. That's the Sandaime Hokage Ino. Naruto dryly replied with a small smirk on his face. Oops. She blushed for a moment before the confidence came back. So what? I stand by what I said. Nothing I said was wrong. He wanted you to have a normal life, but everyone found ways to go around it. Naruto smiled, seeing she was willing to stand up for what she believed in to be right. Remembering where she was, Ino asked Naruto a question. And how do you feel about it all? Naruto was stumped on how to answer that. He didn't know how he felt about it. Whenever he tried thinking about his childhood, the memories were vague at best, as if he was trying to subconsciously forget about it. I don't like it at all. Naruto said with spite lacing his voice. I didn't ask for this. Why did they force me to be the host? I didn't have parents anyway, why didn't they give it to someone who had a mom and dad to help them? It was a multi-layered comment from Naruto. There were many comments to unpack there. She had to think about her answer for a moment. I don't know why they picked you, but it really sucks and is unfair. Feelings of guilt filled Ino for how she treated her blonde friend when she was younger. She never knew how hard he had it. Even though we have really only been friends for the past 2 weeks, I want to say that we're going to be friends forever. It wasn't exactly what she said that spoke to Naruto, it was how she said it. Looking up, he saw her green eyes full of the utmost confidence. Whatever you're going through, I want you to know that you can come to me and talk about it. I'm not going to tell anyone your secrets. Promise. You mean that? Naruto questioned.
There was hesitation in his voice, lower lip almost quivering.
Yep. From now on, you're not going to go through this alone. You're going to have the sexy Ino by your side whether you like it or not. The smirk filtered through from her eyes to the lips and Naruto couldn't help but return her positivity. You're not afraid? Naruto questioned with a bit of hesitation. She scoffed whilst flicking her hair. Not at all, she lied, having a bit of nerves but not wanting Naruto hate himself. It wasn't that she was shit scared of it, she just wanted to learn more about the situation first. Thank you, Ino, I promise I'll always have your back. That's my ninja way. Seeing the look of sheer determination in her friend's eyes made Ino grin.
Then when he came over, wrapped his arms around her and held her tightly, she swooned.
A girl could get used to this.
After breaking the hug, Ino softly spoke, still flush from the hug.
Let's go get Ichiraku's.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.